What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from Revolution Brewing, and they are out of Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Coconut Deth, and this is a part of their Deep Wood series, and this is the 2022 release. So this is an Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with coconut. It comes in at 15% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review, and this can is exactly 2 years old. And I want to give a huge thanks, shout out once again to a very good friend of mine and a viewer of the channel, Steven, for this beer. So big thanks to him. In the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that Steven sent my way. And he sent me a boatload of awesome beer, a bunch of aged beer, and this was one of the aged beers. And I asked Steven if it was cool if I reviewed this one exactly 2 years old, and he said, that's awesome, do so. And I have done so. We're going to review this one 2 years old. So I love Revolution. When it comes to barrel programs in the US, I think they're one of the best. Their Deth series is fantastic. When it comes to barley wines, their Straight Jacket series is fantastic as well. I am a coconut fiend, so if you don't follow the channel, it's the first time you're seeing a review from me. I love coconut, so assuming the coconut has held up over 2 years, I think I'm going to really enjoy this one. And they also say mounds of coconut no. See what you did. See what you did there, Revolution. Mounds bar. Delicious. Almond Joy. Delicious. Anyway, we're going to crack this one open. Get in the glass. Now, I did keep this one cold, but I put it in my darker beer fridge, which I keep at 54 degrees Fahrenheit earlier in the day. So, I don't want to drink this one ice cold. And I'm hoping that this is delicious with mounds of coconut and oak, like they say. I'm giving it an aggressive pour here, only because a lot of times these don't have great heads. So I figured, why not give an aggressive pour? And I have. And guess what? That's a great head, but here's the problem. That is going to dissipate without question. No doubt. I can already hear it fizzing away. So while this has an awesome head, let's hold it up to the camera here. Yeah, that's pitch black. Pouring out, it was more like a dark brown, but it's pitch black as we look at it right here. No questions asked. Hold it up to the light. Yeah, this kind of has like a root beer kind of vibe. So it's more like a dark brown, more of like a light brown color at the base of the glass. It had about a 3-finger of the straight up dark brown colored head. It is now fizzing away, probably from the coconut. The coconut oil specifically is probably kind of wrecking the head here. It is what it is though, but that looks beautiful. Can't see through it. Looks fantastic. It looks exactly how you'd expect a beer like this to look. Let's get a nose. Okay, so this smells fucking fantastic. Here's the problem. Not a ton of coconut on the nose. This is, picture a top-tier, high-quality, barrel-aged Imperial Stout. That's what I'm smelling. Tons of chocolate, darker chocolate, maybe even to like that 30-40% cacao bar, but more like a sweeter dark chocolate. Molasses, caramelized sugars, caramel, toffee. There's just a lot of sweetness off the nose. Again, you can't smell sweetness, but what I'm perceiving to be sweetness in the taste is kind of how this is coming off in the nose. It smells rich and decadent. But over top of that is a barrel, and it's vanilla and oak specifically with a nice like peppery bourbon. A touch of an umami like soy sauce character could be the age, obviously 2 years old. A lot of times these start changing and with different characteristics. A little bit of umami. And there's this underlying like toasted coconut vibe. Again, it's not as big as I would assume. This fresh was probably coconuts for days. So a touch of fruitiness, like a dark cherry, maybe like a raisin, sugar plum, sweeter kind of like fruity notes. More like dried, I'd say. Yeah, dried fruit. Oh, molasses. Like there's a huge, as I go back, molasses for sure. This smells fucking dynamite. Here's the problem. Coconut. Not getting a ton of coconut. Now, if you follow the channel, I usually rate a beer to my personal preference, not exactly what stylistically it's supposed to be. And if I do end up saying, hey, there's an issue with the style, maybe it's not stylistically correct, then I give 2 ratings. But off the rip, stylistically in the nose is not great just because of the lack of coconut. However, it smells fantastic, and that cannot be understated. So anyway, thanks again, Steven. Cheers. Delicious. Now, did I think this beer was not going to be delicious? Even with 2 years of age, it's Revolution. Shout out to the motorcycle going back. It's going by. It's Revolution. I have an expectation from Revolution, and what's in my glass, it meets that expectation. Holy fuck, it's so good. Breathe, Joe. Settle down. Just settle. Just calm your nerves here. Okay, you took 2 sips. It's a fucking beer. Don't be a prima donna. This is really nerdy shit. Just settle down, buddy. Just settle fucking down. Okay, body. Let's go back for another sip before I say anything about body. Medium to straight on full body. 15%. It is thin. Okay, when I drink a 15% beer of any style, I expect a full-on body, syrupy, just kind of, you know, the viscosity, true to roof. This is not that. This is medium to full body, somewhere in that realm. It's a bit thin. Do I mind? Not in the least. However, you got to talk about the body and mouthfeel. You just got to. I mean, you don't have to, but I do. So it's a bit thin, all things considered. Shout out to Paul over at PA Brews. The mouthfeel, however, is fan-fucking-tastic. Has enough carbonation to let you know this is a beer. It is a carbonated beverage, so mild to maybe a touch over a mildly carbonated. However, it's very smooth and creamy on the palate. Now, they don't say it specifically on the label, and people out there who drink Revolution, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Deth series for the most part is Imperial Oatmeal Stout. So I do think they use probably a boatload of oats. And if that's the case with this one, it makes sense because it has a smooth creaminess to the mouthfeel. So mouthfeel, spectacular. Body, bit underwhelming, but I think it's fine. It's not going to detract from the enjoyment of this beer for myself personally, but I could see how some people, like the aforementioned Paul, would maybe like knock this. And I might knock it a little bit when we're rating it, but like, just to be honest with you, like it's not really, the lack of like a huge viscous, like chewy body is not really putting a damper on what I'm doing right now, which is reviewing this beer. The taste, listen. There's so much shit going on in the taste, on the palate. It's going to take me fucking 37 minutes to break this one down. So everything I said in the nose. Sweeter dark chocolate. I didn't mention the nose, but there's like this roasted malt quality. It's not like firmly roasted, but it's like lightly roasted malt. But it has sweet dark chocolate. There's a little bit of like a mild coffee roast, but then tons of molasses, brown sugar, a little bit of caramel toffee, but it's caramelized sugars for sure. Right at the front of the palate, maybe the first like third of the palate. It's the chocolate intertwining with the coffee, so it gives me mocha vibes, but then that caramelized sugar. As it passed through, the dark fruits hit, dried fruits, dried cherry, dried like I'd say plum and raisin. Not super big, but noticeable. Then the second half of the palate is where first I've noticed the coconut. And again, the nose, the coconut was a little bit missing to some degree. It was like very slightly noticeable. But on the palate, it's definitely giving me mounds or like a chocolate covered coconut vibe, but it's not like too big. It's just fine. It's appropriate. And then the peppery bourbon hits. And then on the finish, I get this vanilla oak tannin kind of finish. It's, I'd say, semi to full-on dry. Mild bitterness. Maybe more full-on dry from the oak tannins and the vanilla and everything going on with the barrel on the finish. 15%, huge fucking warming in my chest, into my stomach. Like, it's big in my chest and my stomach. On the palate, not as much. Like, it has a little bit of that, like, ethanol kind of, like, kind of vibe, like, almost a little bit through the nose. I would guess doing this blind, like, 13 to 14%, not quite 15, because of the lighter body, in addition to just not, really having a astringency or too big of a alcohol blast on the palate itself. It's sweet, it's decadent, it's rich, but it's not over the top, and I think there's enough dryness here to kind of win me over. This is just an incredible drinking beer for something that is 15%, that's a barrel-aged Imperial Stout with coconut. And I know that sounds stupid, and every time I say this is a drinking beer, I'm sure there's at least one or two of you, maybe you don't post comments, but you just kind of roll your eyes and go, what the fuck's this guy talking about? It's a drinking beer. All beers drinkable. Like, what I'm saying is there are not many huge Imperial Stouts, aged in bourbon barrels with any kind of adjuncts where I would deem them like a sessionable or like an easy drinking beer, that's this beer. Like, I'm taking my time with it because I have a single can and I don't want to get fucking shit-faced instantly. I'm going to drink on this probably over the next 45 minutes to an hour and just like kind of take it down slowly. But I will say without question that this is one of the more drinkable Revolution barrel-aged beers that I've had, where like it hides the alcohol relatively well. The flavors are nice, and there's not enough of like an astringency from the alcohol, or it's not too rich, not too decadent, not too cloying, anything over the top as far as like the characteristics go in this beer. So this is like, I sit here and, it's a sipping beer, but I could also crush this fucking beer in like 5 to 10 minutes. I could easily hammer this out. I'm not going to do so, but I could. And I'd feel fucking terrible probably after doing so, but it's just one of those easy drinking beers that shouldn't be because it's 15%. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure fresh, I'm already fucking feeling hammered. I'm sure fresh, the coconut was more intense, more over the top. But I think this has aged into something probably quite different, but still thoroughly enjoyable. So, huge thanks to Steven for sending this one my way. I know a lot of times, Steven, you say like, I just grab stuff from my cellar. Like he sends stuff out to a lot of my beer tubing friends. So it's not like he remembers like, Joe, you love coconut, so I'm going to send you this one. Maybe he did though. All I know is I'm super happy he sent me this one because I am a coconut fiend. I love coconut beers. And this is a great beer. And I've always wanted to try this beer specifically. A lot of the Deth series, I've always wanted to try, but the coconut one for me is kind of at the top of the food chain. Now, I'd love to try this fresh just to see the difference, but I'm telling you right now, this is fucking delicious. So, nothing much more to say about this one. I know it's a long review. It's a Revolution barrel-aged beer. If it's like not close to 20 minutes long, then I'm fucking idiot. But anyway, I am going to give this beer right here a low 4.75 and go 4.7. This is fucking absolutely just delicious. Part of their Deepwood series. This is the 2022 release, and I would imagine if they release this every year, pick it up. If you like coconut, like you can't go wrong. And hopefully one day I'll get to try this relatively fresh because this beer deserves to be reviewed fresh. And I love every second of this one. Thanks to Steven for sending this one my way. Price point availability. This is where I have no idea. I shouldn't say I have no idea. I have a limited knowledge on these Deth beers. I know a lot of people say like their Deth series and like the straight jackets, depending on the variant, they're usually in the $40 a 4-pack realm. So you're typically paying somewhere between like $9 to $11 for a single 12 fluid ounce can. Yes. I gave it a 4.7 out of 5. Yes. I would easily pay $40 a 4-pack. It's a fun beer. You could share it with a couple friends. Everyone have 4 ounces and I think you'd be fine. So if this is in that $40 a 4-pack range, I'm fine with it. If it's more than that, we'll see. But I think $10 a can, somewhere in that realm is fine. And availability is Revolution. I don't know how far out of Chicago and Illinois in general that like any of these variants get. I know like you'll see like Death Star, you'll see the straight jacket, maybe a couple of variants make their way to like Michigan and Ohio and other places like that, and Indiana and whatnot. However, I don't know if this one specifically gets outside the area. So if anybody knows, let me know. Go to Revolution, their website, and you'll probably be able to find their beer finder if they have one. So yeah, I'm going to shut this one down. Huge thanks to Steven for all the beers he sent my way. I have a couple more left from him that I need to review. But I wanted to get this one exactly 2 years old, which is pretty cool. And it's held up incredibly well. I wish the coconut was a little bit more vibrant, but as a whole, I'm really digging it. So huge thanks to Steven. If you've had this one before, any prior vintages or even any newer vintages, let me know what you thought about it. I'm going to shut this one down. I'm going to go drink the rest of this, and I think I'm going to be fucked up by the time I'm done drinking this one because I can already feel myself slurring the words a little bit toasty. Anyway, appreciate it. Till the next one. Cheers.